Well, good morning. Welcome to Thoughts Can Change Your Life with me, Reverend Wolak. Today I want to talk about this idea of what is patience. And I had a new inspiration that hit me today. And that is patience is simply learning to be in the now. Patience is not about going back to the past. Patience is not about worrying about the future and what's going to happen. Patience is about just being in the now. Here's the key thing. The now is all there is. The past is an illusion. It doesn't exist. The future is an illusion. It doesn't exist. The now is all that exists. Think about this. If you could live in the now, right now, would there be any need to forgive? Really think about that. If you were truly living in the now, would there be any need to forgive? The answer is no. Do you want to know the secret to happiness? The secret to happiness is a short-term memory. Because now you're not bringing the past into the moment. You've let it go. And so you're able to be fully present no matter what you're doing or who you're doing it with. But if your memory keeps dragging that past in, you can't be present, can you? And then if you're dragging the past in, what happens? You tend to want to create the future out of the past, so you're not in the moment because you're worried. Worry, my friends, is one of the most powerful prayers that anyone can speak. And the reason it is because it's very clear what you're worrying about, and there's deep, deep emotion attached to it. And when there's deep emotion attached to something you're really clear about, the universe says, but of course, it's what they want. I will give them more. Did you ever notice that? The more you worry about something, the more you attract about what you worry about. It's an interesting concept, and everywhere you go, we're taught to worry. But in the moment, right here and now, is there anything you really need right now? The only thing you need is when you worry about what's coming up in the future. But in the now, there is no need. It's an interesting concept. Every relationship in this moment is perfect. It's only not perfect when we bring in our needs and say, oh, you're not meeting my need. You're supposed to meet my need. And I talked about this yesterday a bit. I don't remember where because I talked a bunch yesterday. But if your relationship is based on the fact of someone fulfilling your needs, relationship's not going to turn out well. Because no one on the planet came into this body, into this mind, into this time to fill someone else's needs. They came into this time, into this moment to create what their soul knows but has never experienced. They create to have an experience of life. That's the real purpose of life. You know things, but are you creating them? Are you creating the experience? Or are you shying away from it? Have you been domesticated to the point where you don't believe you have the power to create it? Or you don't believe you're worthy to create it? Those are the two things that stop most people. The worthiness stops us from testing whether or not we have the power. And if we don't test the power, how do we know we have it? And if we have the power and we don't use it, we can't create what we're worthy of. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about 100% personal responsibility for your life experience. You control what you experience. You may not control everything that happens, but you control everything you experience because it's about your mental perception of everything. And only you can change your mental perception. You have to stop thinking that your source is outside of you. Your source is you. Everything that you need is in you. The infinite, if you want, call it God, created everything out of itself. So if everything is created out of it, and it created you out of itself, then you're already perfect. And because you're perfect, the infinite would never judge you. That's a lie. The infinite loves. What is love? The infinite accepts you as you are. If the infinite were to judge you, it would not be love. That's why you don't ever have to worry about this idea that there's a place called hell. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That's a power tactic to get you to fear. Why would you ever succumb to something that any type of religion would use fear to control you? Can't even imagine, unless we just haven't thought enough. Here's the key things that I'm finding out more and more. I ask people questions about themselves, and guess what? They can't answer them because they don't take the time to think about. Like the question, here's 3 things. I'm going to ask you a question. What are the top 3 things that you want to experience most in this life? Can you name them off? Boom, 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 boom? Or do you have to really ponder? It's an interesting way of looking at it, because if you can't have clarity in what you want, how are you going to get it? This is what people want something, but they've never taken the time to clarify and build a mental image of what it is that they want. Let me say hello to everyone out there: Zandy, Colin, Joshua, Corey, Maggie, Johanna, and everyone else that's listening. I can only see certain names in front of me right now, but if you haven't checked in, I'd love to see your name. You got to love yourself. You got to be yourself. No question about that. And in case you're not aware, this Saturday, I'm offering a free workshop on Zoom. All you have to do is go to agapespiritualcenter.com, click on the calendar, and it'll be Discovering Your Life Purpose this coming Saturday. So if you're interested in getting a Zoom time together as a group and exploring the idea of what is our purpose, join me on Saturday. Love to have you as a part of that. Laura says, I joined. Thank you, Laura. And Laura's in Italy. So all you United States people, don't be complaining about the time difference. She's in Italy. Patience. It takes a lot of work to be in the now. I'm not saying being patient is easy. It's a lot of work. But boy, once you get that work, if you can do it for a little bit of the day, oh my God, your day gets so much better. Absolutely so much better. There is nothing more freeing than living in the now. There is no need for anything in the future, and the past doesn't exist when we live in this moment. If you would like to try a simple exercise that will help you get to it, you all have fingers. Stop today, and for 1.5 minutes, That's all I'm asking. 1.5 minutes. Take 30 deep breaths like this. And focus all your energy on your breath. And when you're done, see how you feel. Sandy says, have you ever judged someone in a really negative way lately? If so, did it put you in a bad place, or do you realize the patience you have with you? Sandy, I would love to lie to you. Yes, I have. And I immediately noticed the negative feeling that I was having when I did that. Then I asked the question, how is what I'm perceiving negative benefiting me? I neutralize the emotional response. But just because you do the work doesn't mean you don't have those feelings. Don't let anyone ever tell you that they're always in love, they're always accepting. No, they're not. They're human. They live in contrast. We all live in contrast. The key thing is, how do you manage the contrast in your own mind? That's the key thing. I'm teaching you a practical way of living where you manage your life. You create your life. You determine how you use what happens with you. You're never going to get to a place where you're in total acceptance of everything. I don't believe it's possible. I've not read that. However, I understand it. When you have a negative emotion, look at it. Accept that you've had the negative emotion, and then balance it by seeing what good can come from that negative emotion or that event that caused that emotion. Neutralize it. So, gang, gave you an exercise. I would love to see you take 1.5 minutes out of your day and try it for yourself. Because the only time you become empowered is when you take control. So with that, I want you to know I love you. I accept you just like you are. And at this moment, I have patience and I'm being with you. Until next time, aloha.